Looks like we're diving deep into marketing today.
Oh, yeah.
We're taking on Ries and Jack Trout's 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing.
Okay.
This book claims to have, uncovered the timeless principles
Right.
behind marketing success.
Yeah.
Are you ready to bust some marketing myths?
Let's
And maybe
let's-
find some aha moments along the way?
Yeah. Ries and Trout.
Yeah.
These guys, they're like real veterans of the marketing world.
Yeah.
They really wanted to challenge the whole idea of
Yeah.
quick fixes and magic bullets in marketing. They lay out these fundamental laws,
Yeah.
arguing that they're like the real drivers of success, no matter what the latest trends might be.
Okay, so let's jump right into this first cluster of laws,
Okay.
which all revolve around the power of being first.
Right?
I think we all kind of have an intuitive sense that being first matters.
Absolutely.
But Rise and Trout take it to a whole new level with this law of leadership.
Wow.
They actually say it's better to be first in the mind
Wow.
than to be better, period.
That's a bold statement.
What do you think about that?
It is, but think about it.
Okay.
Who was the second person to fly solo across the Atlantic?
Ah,
You probably know Charles Lindbergh was the first, but the second.
right.
Not so easy.
No.
That was Burt Hinkler, and he actually made a faster flight
Oh, wow.
using less fuel.
Hmm.
But we remember Lindbergh.
Right.
The point is, being first creates this incredibly strong association in our minds.
Wow.
It's really hard to shake, even if someone else comes along later and does it better.
That makes me think of brands like Kleenex
Yeah.
or Band-Aids.
Absolutely.
They were first.
Right.
And even though there are plenty of other tissues and bandages,
Yeah.
those names are what we think of first.
Exactly. Ries and Trout give another example.
Sure.
Heineken.
Okay.
What wasn't necessarily the best imported beer
Right.
when it hit the U.S. market, but it was the first to gain a real foothold.
Oh, okay.
That first advantage, it made all the difference.
So what if you're not first in a category?
Right.
Are you just out of luck?
Not necessarily.
Huh.
That's where the law of the category comes in.
Okay.
If you can't be first in an existing category,
Yeah.
you carve out a new one
Okay.
where you can be first.
Interesting.
It's about being a leader, even if it's in a smaller pond.
So it's like finding your niche
Yes.
and owning that space.
Precisely. Look at DEC.
Okay.
They couldn't compete with the giant IBM
All right.
in the broad computer category.
Yeah.
So they created the mini computer category
Okay.
and dominated it.
Wow.
And Dell,
Yeah.
they saw an opportunity to be the first to sell computers directly over the phone.
Interesting.
It was a new approach, a new category,
Yeah.
and it paid off big time.
Okay, so we've got to be first.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's even more nuanced than that.
Right.
What's this law of the mind all about?
It's a really fascinating idea.
Okay.
It builds on the law of leadership, but takes it a step further.
Okay.
Ries and Trout argue that it's better to be first in the mind.
Hold on.
Yeah.
How can you be first in the mind if you're not first in the market?
Think about IBM again.
Okay.
They weren't actually the first to introduce mainframe computers,
Okay.
but they were the first to really capture the public's imagination. Their marketing was so strong
Yeah.
that they became synonymous with computer in people's minds.
So it's almost like they retroactively became first.
Yeah.
Just through sheer marketing power.
Exactly.
They shaped the perception, and
Yeah.
that became the reality
Yeah.
for most consumers.
Which leads us directly into one of the most thought-provoking laws in the book,
Okay.
the law of perception.
Okay.
This challenges the very foundation
Mm-hmm.
of how we think about marketing.
All right.
It states that marketing isn't a battle of products.
Okay.
It's a battle of perceptions.
So are you saying that a company can win even if their product isn't objectively the best?
Think about it this way.
Okay.
For years, Japanese cars had a reputation
Yeah.
for superior quality
Right.
compared to American cars.
Mm-hmm.
This perception stuck,
Yeah.
even if in some cases the reality was more complex.
Okay.
The point is, consumer perception
Yeah.
became the deciding factor.
It's like they say perception is reality,
Right.
especially in the marketplace.
And there's an even more dramatic example.
Okay.
The whole New Coke versus Classic Coke saga.
Oh, yeah.
Blind taste tests actually showed
Yeah.
that people preferred the taste of New Coke.
Really?
But Classic Coke had this emotional resonance.
Yeah.
This history, this perception of being the real deal
Mm-hmm.
That's what ultimately won the day.
So it's not just about having the best product.
Right.
It's about how that product is perceived.
Yeah.
The story it tells.
Exactly.
The emotions it evokes.
The feelings, yeah.
Consumers often make decisions based on feelings, not just cold, hard facts.
And that's a great takeaway
Yeah.
from these first 4 laws. Being first matters,
Yeah.
but being first in the right way
Okay.
is even more crucial.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the power of perception
Right.
and how it shapes the consumer's reality.
And we'll explore how to do that even further as we dive into the next cluster of laws
Absolutely.
right after this. So we've established that being first is a big deal.
Big deal.
But how do you actually own your space in the market?
Right.
That's what this next set of laws
Yeah.
is all about, right?
Exactly. It all starts with understanding the law of focus.
Okay.
Shoot and Trout,
Yeah.
they argue that you got to narrow your focus down
Okay.
to a single word or concept
Yeah.
that you can really own
Right.
in the customer's mind.
But isn't that kind of limiting?
Right.
Like, what if a company has multiple strengths?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they try to promote all of them?
Well, that's a trap
Mm.
that a lot of companies fall into.
Mhm.
They think they need to be everything to everyone.
Right.
But Ries and Trout say that trying to be all things to all people
Yeah.
actually weakens your position.
Okay.
They use FedEx as an example.
Right.
For a long time, they
Yeah.
brilliantly owned the word overnight,
Okay.
but then they tried to expand and become worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
Yeah.
diluted their core strength
Okay.
and actually led to losses.
So by trying to be more, they actually became less effective. It's
Yeah.
like they lost sight of what made them unique
Yeah.
in the first place.
Totally.
And look at Crest toothpaste.
Yeah.
They totally own cavities.
Yeah?
Because of that, other toothpaste brands, they
Wow.
had to focus on things like whitening or fresh breath.
Exactly.
They can't compete with Crest on cavities.
Nope.
Okay, so by focusing on one core idea, you create a clear and powerful association
Yes.
in the consumer's mind.
And that takes us to the law of exclusivity,
Okay.
which kind of builds on that idea of focus.
Mm-hmm.
2 companies can't own the same word
Right.
in the customer's mind.
Okay.
It's like a battle for territory.
So you're saying once a word is owned,
Yeah.
it's pretty much game over
Dude.
for anyone else trying to claim it.
It's really tough.
Think of Volvo.
Yeah.
They own safety.
Safety.
In the car market.
Yes.
Any other car company trying to claim that word
Right.
just isn't going to resonate
It's not going to work.
as strongly.
And I guess that explains
Yeah.
why Burger King's attempt to steal fast
Right.
from McDonald's was such a flop. Total flop.
It's a classic example of how you can't outdo a competitor
Yes.
on their own turf.
Right. You have to find your own unique space.
So what if you're not the leader in your category?
Okay.
How do you play the game strategically?
Well, that's where the law of the ladder comes in.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding where you stand
Right, yeah.
in that hierarchy
Yeah.
of brands
Okay.
in the customer's mind.
So it's not about pretending to be something you're not.
Right.
It's about playing your hand well,
Yeah,
whatever that hand may be.
exactly.
Think about Avis.
Yeah.
They knew they weren't number one
Right.
in the rental car market.
Nope.
So they embraced their number 2 position
They did.
with that brilliant slogan.
I love that slogan.
We try harder.
Yes.
It was a direct challenge to Hertz,
Yeah.
acknowledging their underdog status
Uh-huh.
and turning it into a strength.
Now, the law of duality suggests that in the
Okay.
long run,
Yeah.
every market
That's
becomes
nice.
a 2-horse race.
Like Coke versus Pepsi.
Yeah.
Or Hertz versus Avis.
Exactly.
Are you saying that the battle for dominance always comes down to 2 key players?
I think in most cases, yes.
Okay.
There might be other brands out there.
Right.
But the real fight for market share
Yeah.
usually boils down to those
Mhm.
top 2 contenders.
That makes you wonder how those smaller players can survive
Right.
and thrive
Yeah.
in a market dominated by 2 giants.
Yeah.
But let's say you're aiming for that second place spot.
Okay.
What's the best strategy?
Well, the law of the opposite
Go ahead.
has an interesting take on that. It
Uh-huh.
says if you're going for second place,
Yeah.
your strategy is dictated by the leader.
Okay.
You need to find their weakness
Uh-huh.
and position yourself as the alternative.
So it's about identifying what the leader isn't
Exactly.
and then filling that gap.
Pepsi did this brilliantly
Okay.
by positioning themselves as the drink
Yeah.
for a new generation,
Right.
while Coke was seen as more traditional.
Uh-huh.
And Scope, they highlighted Listerine's medicine breath
Right.
to position themselves
Yeah.
as the good-tasting mouthwash.
So it's not about imitating the leader.
Yeah.
It's about finding that contrasting element
Right.
that allows you to stand out.
And those contrasts,
Yeah.
they can be subtle,
Right.
but they make a huge difference
Yeah.
in how consumers perceive your brand.
Okay, let's shift gears now
Correct.
and explore those laws that
Yep.
emphasize the importance of long-term thinking and
Nice.
avoiding those common marketing pitfalls.
Yes.
I have a feeling these next few laws might help us understand
So.
why some companies make decisions that seem brilliant in the short term, but ultimately backfires.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
It's all about seeing that bigger picture
Yeah.
and understanding how seemingly small decisions
Right.
can have ripple effects down the line.
So let's dive into those strategic traps
Let's do it.
and learn how to avoid them.
Huh.
We've explored the power of being first,
Right.
the importance of focus,
Yes.
and the strategic dynamics of market leadership.
Absolutely.
What other marketing laws
Okay.
do we need to have on our radar?
Well, this last cluster of laws really digs into the human side of marketing, how our egos and biases can lead to some pretty big blunders.
Right.
We'll start with the law of sacrifice,
All right.
which takes that idea of focus that we discussed earlier and pushes it even further.
Okay. How does sacrifice play into marketing success?
Ries and Trout argue that
Yeah.
to really win big in marketing, you have to be willing to give something up.
Okay.
It could be a product line,
Yeah.
a target market,
Uh-huh.
or even that constant urge to chase every shiny new trend.
So it's about saying no to some things so
Yeah.
you can say yes to the things that really matter.
Exactly. They make a really powerful point.
Okay.
Less is more.
Yeah.
You gain clarity and strength by narrowing your scope.
Okay.
They bring up FedEx again.
Right.
Remember how they sacrificed their overnight focus to
Yeah.
become worldwide?
Yeah.
They actually cite another company,
Okay.
Emery Air Freight, as an example of what not to do.
Okay.
Emery tried to offer every shipping service imaginable,
Wow.
and it ultimately didn't work.
So Emery spread themselves too thin, trying to be everything to everyone.
Exactly.
And while they were doing that, FedEx, with their laser focus on overnight delivery, became a much bigger company.
That was much bigger.
And then FedEx made the same mistake as Emery, trying to be everything again.
We did.
And they started losing money.
It's a classic example of how losing focus can hurt
Wow.
even a successful company.
So the lesson here is to resist the temptation to
Yeah.
overextend, even when you're feeling confident.
Right.
It's like that old saying,
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly.
Another example they give is Duracell. They really honed in on that long-lasting battery idea, and they became the leader.
Became the leader.
Meanwhile, Every put their name on all sorts of different battery technologies, and they lost their edge.
Lost their focus, yeah.
So clarity and specificity are key.
I think so.
Consumers need to know exactly what you stand for, what problem you solve for them.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, once you've made those sacrifices and defined your focus, the next challenge is finding that winning attribute that will set you apart. That's where the law of attributes comes in.
That's where.
Remind me.
Okay.
What was the law of the opposite again?
It was all about finding your strength by looking at what the leader isn't doing. Don't copy the leader.
Okay.
Find your unique attribute, that opposite quality. So Coke was the original.
Yeah.
Pepsi became the choice of a new generation. Crest owned cavities.
Yeah.
So other toothpaste had to highlight different benefits.
So the law of attributes helps you figure out what that contrasting element should be. Think back to IBM and DEC.
Okay.
IBM was known for their big and powerful computers. So DEC created the small mini computer.
They did.
It was a deliberate strategy to differentiate themselves and appeal to a different segment of the market.
That's right.
It's like they found a way to turn their perceived weakness, being smaller, into a strength by positioning themselves as more nimble.
Exactly. Now, what if your product has a weakness that you'd rather not talk about? That's where the law of candor comes in.
Candor.
Yeah.
So you're saying honesty is the best policy in marketing?
Well, in a way, yes.
Oh, okay.
The law of candor suggests that sometimes admitting a negative can actually lead to a positive perception.
Okay.
Think about Avis again.
Right.
They openly acknowledge that they were number 2 in the rental car market. but they turned it into a positive with their We Try Harder campaign.
It's like they disarmed consumers with their honesty and earned their trust.
And it was a brilliant move that turned a potential weakness into a compelling brand message.
Okay, so we've talked about focus, differentiation, and even honesty. What other insights do Ries and Trout offer?
Well, the law of singularity emphasizes that in any given marketing situation, there's usually only one move that will produce substantial results.
So it's not about trying harder across the board. It's about finding that one key action that will really make a difference.
It's like a chess game.
Okay.
You got to think several steps ahead and anticipate the consequences of each move.
Okay.
Ries and Trout argue that companies often make the mistake of spreading their resources too thin instead of concentrating their efforts on that one game-changing strategy.
I can see how that would be tempting, especially when you're facing a lot of competition.
Sure.
But it sounds like focus is a recurring theme here.
Focus is huge,
And speaking of focus, let's talk about the law of unpredictability. It reminds us that no matter how much planning we do, the future is inherently uncertain. So even with the best marketing plan, things can still go wrong.
Absolutely.
They use the example of IBM's Office Vision product. IBM bet big on this idea of connecting all PCs to mainframes. But then the rise of workstations and other technologies completely disrupted their plans. So what's the lesson there? How do you deal with the unpredictable nature of the market?
The key is to be flexible and adaptable.
So you're saying it's not just about having a great plan. It's about being able to pivot when necessary.
Exactly. And that leads us to the law of success, which is a bit of a cautionary tale. It states that success often breeds arrogance, and arrogance leads to failure.
So you're saying that even when things are going well, there's a danger of becoming complacent.
Absolutely.
When people become successful, they tend to lose their objectivity.
And they do.
They start believing their own hype. And they stop listening to the market.
Still listening,
Ries and Trout used Donald Trump as an example of someone who achieved great success, but then overextended himself.
He did.
Putting his name on everything and ultimately diluting his brand. So the lesson here is to stay grounded.
Stay grounded,
Even when you're on top.
Even when you're on top.
Stay humble. Stay focused on your customers.
Absolutely.
Don't let success go to your head.
Don't let it go to your head.
Okay, that's a great reminder.
Okay.
What about all the hype we hear in the media? How do we separate the real opportunities from the fads?
That's where the law of hype comes in.
Okay.
It reminds us that the situation is often the opposite of how it appears in the press.
So don't believe everything you read.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's important to look beyond the hype and focus on real market data and consumer behavior.
So it's about looking for substance over style. And the law of acceleration builds on that idea.
Okay.
It states that successful programs are built on trends, not fads. What's the difference between a trend and a fad?
Trends have staying power.
Okay.
They reflect underlying shifts in consumer behavior or societal values. Fads, on the other hand, are fleeting. They generate a lot of buzz, but they quickly fade away.
Okay.
Ries and Trout contrast Cabbage Patch Kids, which were a huge fad, with Barbie, which has become a long-term trend.
So it's about being able to distinguish between short-term hype and a sustainable opportunity.
Exactly. And finally, we have the law of resources. Which reminds us that even the best marketing ideas need adequate funding to succeed.
So even if you have a great product and a brilliant marketing strategy, you still need the resources to execute it effectively.
Absolutely.
Ries and Trout cite the example of A&M pet products. They developed a clumping cat litter called Scoop Away. It was a great innovation.
It was.
But they were ultimately outspent by a larger company, Golden Cat Corporation, who basically copied their idea. So it's not enough to just have a great idea. You need the financial firepower to bring it to market and compete effectively.
You got to be able to compete.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
from the importance of being first,
Right.
the dangers of line extension,
Yeah.
from the power of focus to
Yeah.
the need for adequate resources.
Absolutely.
These 22 immutable laws of marketing offer a powerful framework
I think so.
for thinking about marketing strategy.
They really do. And while we've only scratched the surface of these concepts,
Right.
I hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights to consider
Yeah.
as you navigate the complex world of marketing.
I know I've learned a lot.
Me too.
And I'm sure our listener has too.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how these laws,
I know,
even though they were written a while ago,
yes,
still feel so relevant today.
they do.
They really do seem to capture those timeless principles of marketing success.
Timeless for sure.
As you go deeper into your own marketing endeavors,
Right.
think about which of these laws resonates most strongly with you.
That's a great point.
Which one could be your secret weapon?
I love that.
And if you're ready to really master these laws,
Yeah.
I greatly recommend picking up a copy of the book and digging in. It's a great book. And applicability of Ries and Trout's insights.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Happy marketing.